¿Qué tal, chicos? Bienvenidos a mi canal Español con Juani. 2 simple ways to advance your Spanish from beginner over to intermediate. First of all, using or getting comfortable with using compound phrases in Spanish. Second, using more advanced connector or linking words in the language in order to connect sentences or phrases together in order to communicate them more effectively. So today we're going to knock off 2 birds with 1 stone. Now, to get us started, the first questions are: what are compound phrases? How do we form them grammatically in Spanish? And why are they so effective? So it's very easy to understand. If you're not too sure, all we're simply doing is conjugating one verb in Spanish, and then we're using other verbs straight after that. And the beauty of a compound phrase is we don't have to, for example, conjugate the second, third, or even fourth verbs that we're using, because it's already obvious by the context who we're actually speaking about. So if that still doesn't make sense, let me explain it better by giving you an example. I must visit my friends this week. Debo visitar a mis amigos esta semana. Debo visitar a mis amigos esta semana. If we take a closer look at this example, you'll notice that we're conjugating the verb deber in order to say I must. However, notice how I haven't conjugated the verb visitar. It's just left in its unchanged, unconjugated form, again, because it's already obvious who we're speaking about. I'm speaking about myself, so we don't need to conjugate the verb visitar in the yo form in this context. And that's the beauty of using compound phrases, especially if you're a native English speaker. Learning Spanish just saves you having to conjugate multiple verbs. Before we move on to linking words, and I've got 6 of them for you, let's try one more example. I have to work on Mondays. Tengo que trabajar los lunes. Tengo que trabajar los lunes. In this example, you can see it's slightly different, just because with the verb tener, if you're unaware of it already, when we're expressing obligation or something we have to do with the verb tener in this context, we must put tener que. Moving on, once you start to get more comfortable with using compound phrases, the next step is to start using more connector or linking words in the language in order to connect things together and communicate more effectively. Today, we're going to jump into some more intermediate/advanced linking words as well, and I've got 6 in total for you. El número 1, por lo tanto. Por lo tanto, which can be translated to mean therefore. First example, tengo que trabajar los lunes, por lo tanto, no salgo los domingos. Tengo que trabajar los lunes, por lo tanto, no salgo los domingos. So I have to work on Mondays, therefore, I don't go out on Sundays. Let's try another example. Debo estudiar esta noche, por lo tanto, no puedo venir a la fiesta. Debo estudiar esta noche, por lo tanto, no puedo venir a la fiesta. So I must study tonight, therefore I can't come to the party. Moving on, el número 2, ya que. Ya que can mean a few different words in English. It can mean because or since or given that. Personally, I've found that it's also a good way to start off a sentence as well. So let's jump into a few examples. Ya que estás cansada, ¿quieres quedarte en casa? Ya que estás cansada, ¿quieres quedarte en casa? Since or because you are tired, do you want to stay at home? Let's try another example. Ya que mañana es tu cumpleaños, ¿te gustaría hacer algo en particular para celebrar? Ya que mañana es tu cumpleaños, ¿te gustaría hacer algo en particular para celebrar? So because or given that your birthday is tomorrow, would you like to do something in particular to celebrate? Moving on to number 3, very simple, sin embargo. Sin embargo, which means however. Very simple, let's try a few examples. Quiero ir al cine, sin embargo, tengo que hacer mi tarea. Quiero ir al cine, sin embargo, tengo que hacer mi tarea. Before we move on, let's try another example. Quería entrenar, sin embargo, terminé yendo a la fiesta. Quería entrenar, Sin embargo, terminé yendo a la fiesta. I wanted to train, however, I ended up going to the party. So if you're not already aware in Spanish, using the verb terminar plus another verb with a gerund or with the ing onto it basically indicates that we ended up doing something. So we had other plans, but we ended up doing something else. Moving on to the next one, en cambio. En cambio, which means whereas or on the other hand. Por ejemplo, quiero ir al gimnasio, en cambio mi novia preferiría quedarse en casa. Quiero ir al gimnasio, en cambio mi novia preferiría quedarse en casa. So I want to go to the gym, whereas my partner or my girlfriend would prefer to stay at home. Let's try another example. Nunca llego a tiempo, en cambio mi novia es muy puntual. Nunca llego a tiempo, en cambio mi novia es muy puntual. Nice work, everyone. We're almost there. Before we move on, just remember, if you are getting any value from these videos, I would really appreciate it if you'd take the time to press that like button, and if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. Moving on to number 5, a very useful one, a pesar de. A pesar de, which means despite. Por ejemplo, a pesar de no tener dinero, mi hermano viaja todos los años. A pesar de no tener dinero, mi hermano viaja todos los años. So despite not having money, my brother travels every year. Let's try another example. A pesar de que la economía está mal, todavía viajamos mucho. A pesar de que la economía está mal, todavía viajamos mucho. Moving on to the last one. This one's very useful and it's very common. You'll hear this one all the time. Por eso. Por eso, which can mean for that reason. Por ejemplo, no tengo dinero, por eso no puedo salir esta semana. No tengo dinero, por eso no puedo salir esta semana. So I have no money, therefore or for that reason, I can't go out this week. Another example, no tengo tiempo libre, por eso he dejado de ir al gimnasio. No tengo tiempo libre, por eso he dejado de ir al gimnasio. So I have no free time, therefore or for that reason, I've stopped going to the gym. Great work, everyone. So as I mentioned before, take these 2 things on board and it's going to really help take you from that beginner up towards that more intermediate level of Spanish. As always, if I can help with anything else, please don't hesitate to leave a comment or a question in the comment section below, and I'll see you in the next one. Hasta pronto.